Hey everybody, this is Larry Little.
And I'm Melissa Jackson.
And you're listening to Crossing the Line, a podcast where we talk about relationships and leadership. And we've got a great topic we want to bring you today, Melissa.
Yes, and it is about words, Larry, and the power of words. And we have to start off, though, and step back and talk about what's going on. It's August, and if you have children or grandchildren or friends that have children, it is school time again. We are back in the swing of the fall.
We are at it. I mean, the rest is over, if you had rest for the summer, and then we're about to hit the road to the fall. Let me tell you why I'm excited. I know you have, a 12-year-old, and so you guys are all into school and getting ready, and she's in the band, and that's awesome, and all of those things. For me, my children are grown, right? So I am looking forward. I don't know if you know this or not, right? But this fall, the SEC is having a football season like none other. I mean, it is a brand new season with the divisions are gone. We've got 2 new teams in the conference. I'm an Auburn guy. I follow it, and I'm so excited to see. Oh, the playoffs have been expanded. Both of you, Robin, our director and producer, and Melissa, both of these ladies are looking at me like I've lost my mind. But I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Yeah, let's do it.
I hear the excitement. I hear it. But you know what? It is school, and you guys both have children, and you guys are ready, and I'm excited about the school year
and
as well.
football. The fall brings a lot. It brings a lot of fun, and we're ready to roll. So let's talk about the power of words. So words really influence relationships. They influence how you feel about yourself, how others feel about themselves. The ability to speak powerful words can change somebody's trajectory. It can help them grow. It can cause them to feel, depleted. So there's a lot of power in what comes out of our mouth.
Yeah, there really is. And when I saw that we were talking about this today, I thought, this is our sweet spot. We teach this, we live it, we see it. But more importantly, it's so relevant today because we live in a world that's saturated with words like never before. I mean, think about the social media. Think about X or Twitter or all that, Instagram, Facebook. All that is those are words. Those are words people are saying, and they're so powerful. They impact elections. They've taken businesses down. They've given businesses notoriety. Words are incredibly influential. And they're incredibly powerful.
Well, everybody wants to have a voice, and they want to be heard, and so we really have to break it down and make sure that the words that we're using, the conversations that we're having, that they're helpful, they inspire, they encourage, they bring about growth and development, they give opportunity. Something for us to think about as leaders and trying to lead at home, lead at work.
Yeah, it really is. And whether it's positive or negative, words are powerful, and they can be either way. But it's not just about how words make us feel. There's scientific evidence out that words impact our brains neurologically. A study was done by the Cashel group that said when someone has positive affirmation given to them over and over, that positive, that affirming, that positive mindset, literally the pathways in the prefrontal cortex of the brain expand. Now you can take that in the reverse and say when there are negative, critical, demeaning types of words in an environment that's negative, those pathways close. So it actually closes your capacity to think, and so what we say and how we say it very literally, physically affects our minds.
So there's science behind this that really can help us understand why it's important and why we need to give some attention to it. Also in diseases and cancer and illnesses, and we find research there also that helps us understand how an environment can be more conducive to somebody's healing, that it can help them in the process.
Yeah, I've seen it for years. A cancer patient or someone with a disease that's very difficult, maybe even terminal, but they're so positive and they fight so hard, and the process of that. If it doesn't bring healing, even the process of walking through that disease is different from someone that is surrounded by loving, supporting family, loving, supporting relationships. That whole process is different than someone who becomes a victim, who gives in, and who literally gives up.
And it impacts the people that are watching.
Oh, it does.
Watching that person go through that. So let's talk about the power that it does give, and talk about how do we help ourselves be able to learn something from this. So, words, if we talk about three things that they do, words can set a tone. It can set an environment.
Yeah, it does. That's going to affect your body physically. It's going to affect your mind. Think about a home, though, where there's love and there's kindness and there's goodness and there's acceptance and there's still struggle. That scenario, while we walk through, the tone is we love each other. We're there for each other. The tone is our words are going to be kind. I know that you have done some work around that, even on kindness, and it was really inspirational to me to see what you did with just saying, hey, we're going to have kindness. We're going to focus on kindness in our home. That was powerful to me to see that, and I've thought about it often. And I think that tone, we can have a tone of kindness in our business relationships, in our home, or we can have a tone of criticalness, negativity, sarcasm.
I was at a meeting last night and I watched the leader set the tone for the meeting. And he set it up for the people that were following him in conversation to have a positive slant. Let's talk about the positive things that are taking place. Let's talk about the impact that this has had on the group. And so I sat back as just an observer and I watched how the tone got replicated and how it continued. There might have been an obstacle, there might have been a concern, but the tone was able to overall be replicated. And it's important, we can set the tone.
Yeah, it's
super important.
I think it is. And another word, as you think about, what are they talking about tone? We're talking about the environment that you set for your relationships, whether it's a personal relationship or in your home or in your business and with your team. The tone is the environment really that you set. And by the way, you get to do that. You get to set that tone.
And that's a great point that you're making. We need to be mindful. Because there are times where we don't have the energy, or we're exhausted.
That's right.
You've used your words up
for
the day.
That's right.
You've used your mental capacity for the day, but you still have people in front of you, your family, your loved ones, those relationships that are key. That you get the opportunity to figure out what you're going to do with that. So words also, they set a thought process. And so if they set a tone, then what is next is it starts enabling a thought process. It starts taking you down a pathway, so to speak, that sets up a thought that is going to be replicated, a thought process.
Yeah, think about it like this. If you're someone who hikes and you enjoy nature, you go out, and the thing you don't want to do is to go forge your own trail. You want to find a path. You want to find a hiking trail, because that hiking trail is going to lead somewhere that you want to go, if it's up the mountain or to the end of the hike, into the trail, whatever. However, when you want to stay on that trail, and you when you're having a thought process around words, those words define a trail, and you keep walking down that trail. It's either a positive mindset, a tone of kindness, or it's a negative trail that leads you to criticism and negativity and depression and anxiety. You get to, it's one trail or the other, but that thought, think of the thought process much like a pathway that you're walking.
You're making a great point too, because that can be fed.
Yes.
That thought process can multiply when you feed it, and it can open up other thoughts, critical thoughts, or other feelings that lead to an overall theme. if we're not careful.
We'll talk about it in a minute, but that has consequences. The further you walk down that pathway, the more consequences there are. Certainly, you can turn it around and go the other way. Certainly, you can take another path. But there a lot of times that means you got to clean up some stuff.
And it part of life, part of relationships is cleaning up.
Absolutely.
It's about being aware and taking ownership and trying to rectify the relationship.
Yep.
Because there are plenty of things that cause us to go off path. The third piece, if we're talking about words and how impactful they are and how this builds on each other. So, we're setting a tone, a thought process. Well, then it leads to behavior.
Yeah, it really does. And that's what you just, alluded to, is that that behavior means I've got to literally turn around and take another path. I've got to walk in a different way. That behavior is everything from body language. It's everything from the time that you spend with that person or that time you don't spend with others. How you set that relationship tone and thought process ultimately ends up in how you behave in that relationship toward that other person, toward that team, toward that family. It has direct implications on our behavior. I'll tell you from a personal experience, I have to really from a tone, a thought process, and a behavior. Melissa, at night, I'm not my best at night. You know what I'm saying? I just, what you said a minute, kind of have used my words up during the day. I enjoy, for those of you that understand our personality, I enjoy a little turtle time, which means just kind of some introverted, kick back, relax, renew. And a lot of times I don't get that because of the situations that are going on. And I have to really be intentional about the tone I set when I can't have that. And I'm expected to still engage. I'm expected to interact. I'm expected to create an environment, a thought process that says I'm going to walk down a path of kindness and engaging. And I'm still going to talk, and I'm still going to try my best to be coherent, which is a challenge. And that directly affects my behavior toward those in my family, toward those that I live with and those that I love. And in fact, my wife just told me this week. She said, I like you a lot better in the mornings than I do in the evenings.
Better in the morning.
I guess. And I said, well, I like myself too better. And I'm glad we're recording this podcast in the morning.
I love it. So, the behavior piece, it makes me think about the two story of growing up. I watched this couple behave with each other. I was able to have a front row seat in their life and just watch them. And, from a personality standpoint, the wife was a monkey, the husband was a camel. And I watched the power that she had in the relationship of how she could help turn him, how she could help him when he began to kind of overthink things, and how she had that leverage with the power of words, and could pull him out and help him kind of come up for air and look at things in a different way. And their relationship impacted my life, and they helped me see the importance of words with each other. And so, we need to be challenged in this area. So let's talk about some things that we can do to be mindful of this. How can we help ourselves and help those that are listening?
Yeah, I hope we have set up appropriately the importance of words, and I hope our listeners hear that. But then the question obviously becomes, okay, we get it. It affects all these things. So what? How do we? What do we do now? What is the next step? And good news is, anyone can change. Anyone can take control of their words and up to ultimately their behavior. The first thing is to realize that you do have a choice. It's not, well, I'm just negatively, I'm a natural negativist. No. Or I'm critical by nature. No. We get to choose. It may feel like we want, just because I want to respond in a certain way doesn't mean I have to respond in a certain way.
I think we forget that. I think we run so fast. Things keep us so busy We have so much at our fingertips, and things occupy our space, our mental space, that we forget that we have a choice at times.
Yeah, we really do. And it's so that if we can keep that number one, just understand, I get to choose. Now, in order to choose, you've got to take a step back and be self-aware and be aware of what's going on around you. You've got to take that step back to give yourself space to choose. So it might mean taking a beat. But remember, you get to choose your words. Now, this is a problem, Melissa. I just want to chase one rabbit. I'll be coming right back because it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. This is the problem because people get on social media and they get on, the X and whatever comes to them, whatever they're feeling, boy, they'll text it in and they'll excuse this language, they'll vomit those words out there, and it hurts a lot of people. And they would never say some of those words if they were sitting in the room with that person. They would never do that. They respond so differently when you're looking at them. And so I think it's important in this social media age that we take responsibility for the words that we type, as well as the words that we say. Mm-hmm. And so I think, okay, I'm back, sorry. But I think that we get to choose. That's the first thing. The second thing is we got to remember, just because we choose doesn't mean that we get it right. Mm-hmm. You said it a minute ago. We all go off path. We all go on different paths we shouldn't be on from time to time. We all blow it. So it takes practice. Mm-hmm. It takes practice. It means that we've got to put in the practice to give ourselves permission to go, I shouldn't have said that. Mm-hmm. Let me back that up. Mm-hmm. Let me reel that back in. And let me try again. Mm-hmm. We all get do-overs in this life, and we all get do-overs when it comes to trying to get better and to try to live a life of kindness versus criticism. So I think it's important to give yourself permission to fail, to blow it, because it takes practice.
And we do need do-overs. We need to allow ourselves to do that. And in a learning environment, and if you look at how you learn, everybody learns differently, right? They have different ways that they really can retain things. But there is a process to learning. And a lot of times what happens is when we're trying to learn something, we may overcompensate. We may try so hard to do it that it's awkward and uncomfortable, or we may not try as hard because we don't know if we're going to get it right. But there's a process to learning something, and we need to allow ourselves an opportunity to figure out where do we want to land and what do we want it to look like, and allow ourselves to learn and understand how we're trying. So that self-awareness that you talked about, that can help us really make it a choice.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And when we do that, now for our task-driven friends that are listening, right now you may be listening and you may say, okay, I'm going to choose and I'm going to do this and I'm going to practice and I'm going to, and then I'll have it. Well, it just doesn't work quite that way. So the third thing is this. If we know we have a choice, we know we got to practice, we need to understand it takes work to change our lifestyle. This is not a task that you check off. This is a lifestyle. And here's why. Here's what's important. Give yourself permission to practice and fail, but then realize that creating a lifestyle means we have to be consistent. We have to work at it. It is hard. It is not easy. It is not soft. It is very difficult to change our pathway. But guess what? The more we do that, the more pathways we create. The more pathways we create, the more likely we are to walk on those new pathways. The more likely we are to walk on those new pathways, that means that we're creating a lifestyle. So that lifestyle is created. So it's not instant gratification here. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is be willing to put in the work to develop the pathways to change your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So then you can become a person that says, I'm going to use my words to influence others in a positive way. I do need to give a disclaimer here. I'm not talking about being overly positive when it's inappropriate.
Thank you.
I'm not talking about pie in the sky mentality. I'm not saying that, because we can, sometimes to be clear and to create clarity is to be kind. And sometimes to be direct and to have those hard conversations is to be kind. It's the motivation with which we have those conversations. So life is hard. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying that we need to choose that how we address those hard difficulties in life, those struggles, how we address the others around us. Sometimes it means having difficult conversations and saying we've got to get to the point where we either agree to disagree or we resolve, because we need to have this. You will have conflict. I'm not saying avoid conflict. I'm saying do it with the right motivation. do it with clearness, do it with kindness. And when we do that, those pathways will continue to open and we'll become literally a different person neurologically. And I've seen it over and over again. Those people who get this, who understand it, who understand their choice, who understand that they need to practice and understand it's a lifestyle, they become more powerful and influential because others trust them more because of how they're handling their words.
Well, it sets you up to live in a different zone, just like you're talking about, and you give yourself some freedom when you fall and you fail, because you can recover and you can choose to respond differently, and it impacts your relationships.
That's right. So as we wind up this podcast, before we get to my favorite part, which is coming, I want us to do one thing. So we've talked about these affirmations, these words. So I want us to take a minute, and you and I, let's give some affirmation to the person who really makes this podcast go. Let's give some affirmation to the person who's never seen or heard. Her name is Robin, and she is the one that puts all this equipment together. She's the one that gets our scripts. She's the one she just is the
incredible.
She's incredible and behind the scenes. So I'm gonna give you first shot to talk to Robin. She's sitting here, so you're speaking to her. And let's practice here what we've been talking about.
Now, we know a secret about Robin that makes it even more powerful, I hope, and that is we know her personality.
We do.
She is a very high camel, and she's the camel of all camels. And so Robin does a quality job at managing all the details to make the content and the recording so powerful, and I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, I am too. I'll tell you this, Robin is one of the few people, she's brilliant. She's one of the smartest people I know. Incredibly brilliant, but that can navigate a lot of things at one time, and how she pulls all this together in an organized form that allows us to move forward in this and to speak into the lives of others. She's a godsend. An essential part of what we do here, and an incredible leader, incredible teammate.
So I think the joke today should be in honor.
She's loving it. She's loving
Robin. This joke is in honor of Robin.
Oh, yeah. So we go to my favorite part, in honor of Robin. This is the dad joke of the podcast. It's my favorite part of the podcast. And so are you ready for the dad joke?
Robin, are you ready? Thumb ups.
All right, here we go.
Thumbs up.
What did the horse say after it tripped? What did the horse say after it tripped? Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up.
It just gets better every time. Every time.
Hey, thank you guys for listening and for hanging in there with us. And I hope I brought a smile to your face with my dad joke. But way more importantly, I hope you gained some things today to help you in your relationships as you cross the line to make a difference in the lives of those you love, you live with, and lead. We'll see you guys next time.